two young girls, two suitcases, and a discovery that shook an entire community. Let's check it out. Welcome back. Before we begin, a quick note. Some of the stories we analyze over here involve serious allegations and vulnerable victims. The purpose of the STJ Archives is not to sensationalize tragedy, but to examine these cases, understand what happened, and remind ourselves why accountability and protection for the vulnerable matter. Let's get into it. Tonight's stories come out of Cleveland, Ohio, and it's one of those cases that forces people to pause and ask a difficult question. How does something like this happen? On Monday night, what started as a normal walk through a neighborhood park quickly turned into something no one expected. A man walking his dog near Saranac Playground, close to East 162nd Street and Midland Avenue, noticed something unusual in the playground. At first glance, it appeared to be a suitcase, but it was partially buried. Something about the situation didn't feel right, so like any of us would, he took a closer look. And when he opened the suitcase, inside that suitcase were human remains. Police were called immediately. When officers arrived, they secured the area and began processing what had suddenly become a homicide scene. But as investigators carefully examined the area, the situation became even more devastating. Not far from the first discovery, detectives found another shallow grave. And inside that grave was another suitcase. And inside that suitcase, you guessed it, another child. The victims were later identified as 8-year-old Mila Chapman and 10-year-old Amor Wilson, both from Cleveland. Two young lives, two futures that will never have the chance to unfold. News of the discovery spread quickly throughout the community. Neighbors were stunned. Parents were shaken because cases involving children carry a weight that is hard to ignore. These situations force communities to confront uncomfortable realities. Almost immediately, questions began to surface. Who were these children? Where had they been? And who could be responsible for something like this? Cleveland police began working the case immediately. Detectives canvassed the area. Detectives canvassed the surrounding neighborhood. They knocked on doors. They spoke with residents. They gathered surveillance footage from homes and nearby businesses. And slowly but surely, investigators began piecing together a timeline. That timeline eventually led to the residence not far from where the surveillances were discovered, near East 162nd Street and Midland Avenue. Police executed a search warrant at that home. Inside that residence, authorities located another child, but that child was taken into custody of the Department of Child and Family Services. As detectives continued collecting evidence and conducting interviews, a suspect emerged. Authorities arrested 28-year-old Aaliyah Henderson, an Ohio mother now facing 2 counts of aggravated murder in connection with the deaths of the 2 girls. Henderson appeared in court Friday morning for her arraignment. A Cleveland municipal court judge set her bond at $2 million. The charges are severe, and the investigation surrounding these cases is still ongoing. Cleveland Police Chief Dorothy Todd later addressed the public and spoke about the work detectives put in identifying a suspect. She emphasized something that often gets overlooked. Real investigations take time. Evidence must be gathered carefully. Witnesses must be interviewed, and certain details cannot be released publicly while a case is still active. Because protecting the integrity of the investigation is essential if justice is going to be served. According to Chief Todd, detectives worked tirelessly, reviewed footage following leads. They examined every detail until they were able to identify a person of interest and make an arrest. Cleveland Mayor Justin Bibb also released a statement following the arrest. He thanked homicide detectives and members of Cleveland Division of Police for their dedication and persistence. But he also acknowledged something that many people in the community were already feeling: shock, grief, and a deep sense of loss. Because at the center of this case are two young girls whose lives was just beginning. The one detail that stood out in early investigation was when the police first discovered the bodies, that there were no missing children reports that matched the victims. And we already know that raised serious questions for investigators. How long the situation had gone unnoticed, what circumstances led to those children ending up in the playground buried in a suitcase. As the investigation continues, detectives are still reviewing surveillance footage, speaking with witnesses, and gathering information for the surrounding neighborhood. Authorities have also established a 24-hour tip line for anyone who may have information related to the case. At this point, the case is active and ongoing. They also say there is no indication of an ongoing threat to public safety. But for many people, the emotional impact of the case will take much longer to process. And I'm sure that stories like this forces communities to reflect. They force the community to think about protection, responsibility, and accountability. And for now, the arrest has been made, but the story is far from over. As more information becomes available, additional details may emerge about what led to this tragedy and what happened in the days leading up to the discovery. And when those updates become available, more than likely, we will revisit it right here at STJ Archives as we focus on truth and accountability. If we don't make sure the vulnerable is protected among us, then who will? If you like deep conversations like this, then go grab the Spilling the Juice book series at spillingthejuice.com, now available on all major book platforms. STJ Archives, signing off.